Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers officially have named Pat Meyer their offensive line coach. And with him, man, a little bit of a mixed bag. 20 years of coaching experience, has been coaching at the NFL level for 10, 15, almost 15 seasons, has had stops. Most recently, he was with Carolina the past couple of years. He was with the Chargers prior to that. Spent time in Buffalo, which I know Deke was really excited about because Deke loves any coach, any player, any person with an affiliation to the Buffalo Bills and that amazing organization. That's what Deke said, not my words. That's his words. He threw amazing. I never said, I just said the Buffalo Bills, but Deke said that amazing organization. So it gave him a lot more confidence in this hire.
There was a stat out there that he helped orchestrate the number one rushing offense that year. Was it 2016? Mm-hmm. Was that Tyrod, Shady type of stuff?
And then he also had success with the Chargers, where they had, as a team, their most rushing yard total in, I think it was 2018 season. It was either 2018 or 2017 or 2018. That was their, they ended up rushing for, I think it was like 1,800 yards or whatever.
I could run through the stats real quick. I got it pulled up. 2013 Bears, they were 22nd. 2014 Bears, 8th. 2015 Bills, 15th. 2016 Bills, 1st. Chargers, 12th in 2017. 2018, 9th Chargers. In 2019, the Chargers were 10th. So, I mean, borderline top 10 for 3 years with the Chargers. Panthers, 12th in 2020. Panthers, 15 in 2021. That's all team run success rate during regular season. Yeah. Now,
the thing with Pat is this, man. It's kind of a mixed bag, honestly. When you hear some of the run success, yes, that is true. But at the same time, when you watch some of these places where he's coached their offensive line units, it has been a little bit of, all right, when he has the right personnel, looks good. When it's been not the best personnel, it's looked really bad. But the one thing that I would say is this, for him to have lasted this long at the NFL level, he clearly has something about him that, you know, and whether it's we're talking resiliency, whether we're talking just his ability to connect with players, he has something about him.
Blackmail on ownerships. I don't know.
Yeah, that continues to keep getting him these opportunities, because typically if you have a rough go at it or you're just that terrible of a coach, you typically don't get other opportunities in the NFL. That's just how it goes. I mean, we've seen that. We always joke about it with our coaching staff here. We're like, man, we fired this guy, nobody's going to pick him up. So with Pat, clearly that is not the case, because he's been picked up multiple times at the NFL level. And then even dating back to his collegiate level, he's had success there as well. He's been a part of some pretty big name universities, Florida State being one of them as well. But what I do also like is this, though, man. With all this being said, the highs and the lows with him, right? The good performances, the not so good performances. You look like you're the man to be with going long term, and at the other time where it's like, yo, you need to be fired yesterday. The one thing I can say is this, man, that he handles the ebb and flow. He handles success and failure well, because in the NFL, that's what you have to deal with. And when I think of this Steelers unit, this offensive line unit in particular, what do we have? We have young players. We have inexperienced players. We have guys that are kind of inconsistent, meaning at times, some of these guys look really good. Then at times they look really bad. But we know we're going to need somebody that can help keep them as even keel as possible through those highs and lows. And I just feel like a guy like Pat, because of his experience, based on his resume, based on the place he's been and the success and failures that he's had, he is going to be able to communicate and relate to those guys in some of that vein. And I also like that he was a former player. Granted, he only played one season in the NFL, and then I believe he had a year or two up in Canada. The fact that he still was in the trenches, the fact that he still tasted what it felt like to be in the NFL, going through the rigors of a season, understanding film study, understanding how to break down, your opponents and things like that. I just always put a little bit more stock in that as well, compared to a guy that is just solely coached but has never played the game at that NFL level.
Yeah, let's just give the dude a chance, because you could talk about some of the positives, some of those rushing offenses that he was helping in the past. You could talk about maybe some of his hiccups last couple years with Carolina. But it goes back to a lot of the times with these position coaches. In my opinion, the more I'm thinking about this more and more, so much of it has to do with personnel.
Absolutely, man.
Like all of a sudden, last year, Ike Hilliard, great hire for the Steelers. We don't technically let him go this year, but we don't re-sign him. If he signs somewhere else, is he considered a bad hire because the Steelers receivers didn't live up to the hype? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, how well he's coaching these Panthers offensive linemen. Who knows how well, Ike Hilliard was coaching up the Steelers receivers. It's just this up and down thing we really don't know. So let's give him a chance. I don't know really who else we could have been going for. Who else was on our target list outside of Munchak?
Yeah, because he was obviously the big name. In terms of bigger name offensive line coaches, most of them are employed. That's the nature of it when you talk about like elite or top tier offensive line coaches. Some of the names that just come off the top of my head, I always think of Mike Munchak. I think of Doug Marrone. I think of Tom Cable. All of those guys are employed or have been employed during these processes right now. And even a guy like Chris Morgan, he's another guy. We talk about him, man, his credentials, right? We talk about Pat Meyer's credentials. Chris Morgan's blows his out the water in terms of proven productivity, leading a team to the Super Bowl, having that type of productivity with his offensive line units. And even with him, it was like, man, we still kind of wanted Munchak over that guy. But when you compare and contrast,
we lost Semo.
Absolutely. And that was the difference too. I was like, Semo did leave. Now, granted, we could have done whatever we could have to keep him in house.
That's the question.
But
why didn't we try?
But then
a little bit harder.
Then I asked myself this: what has been the biggest criticism of the Steelers when they hire? Promotion from within. As soon as we promoted, or excuse me, as soon as we named him the, offensive line coach when Adrian Clem left, everybody was upset. Man, we're promoting from within again. Why do we
hired him from out, though?
Right, but we hired him from out. But that was the consensus. That was the overall feeling. And then this offseason, hey, man, we want Munchak. We don't want to go from within. We want to go outside, even though Munchak technically is still from within because he's been here before. But you know what I mean? So when I thought of that, I was just like, man, it's kind of funny, man. We had a guy that on paper was more qualified, a better guy than this particular guy we just hired. But at the time, we didn't want that because he was technically in-house.
Can we stop doing the within versus outside? Let's just get the best guy. If they are within, it's just the problem has been, I think, the guys we've been promoting within haven't been the most qualified guys, or we haven't been at least doing outside searches.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I totally missed something, bro.
What's that?
Something just popped up on your screen as well as my screen. You know what we do when it's that?
Mic drop. Record scratch.
Uh-oh. I believe Farron Bradford has something he wants to say.
Okay, well, it has to do with the O-line, too.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
He's on top.
Like I said, man, when that pops up, man, I apologize to you, Farron Bradford, for not seeing that sooner. All right? So, we can pause our Chris Morgan. Let's talk with what my man's saying right here.
Regardless, the O-line coach, we need more talent in the trenches. Which O-line build should we draft? Stick with the smaller, agile zone blocking guy or big body offensive linemen who are movers of men? We did better on combo/man blocking compared to zone blocking.
You bring us some good points, man. Talking about the combo man blocking compared to zone blocking. For those that don't know, zone blocking is you're essentially blocking areas. So if we're running the ball to the right, everybody is just going to be taking what they call zone steps or bucket steps, right? 1, 2, and then they're just going to continue to progress towards the sideline and climbing up, but they're not necessarily saying, hey, Kendrick Green, go block this D tackle.
Whoever comes by.
Right. It could be a linebacker. It could be a corner. It could be a safety. It could be whoever. You just got to be moving. Now, typically you want smaller guys for that because you want guys that are able to play in space, able to pull and ultimately get in position. It really focuses more on position element of it, right? Whereas when you talk about the man and combo blocking, that's mano a mano. That's, Kendrick, you see this zero technique in front of you? Move him off the ball. You might have to do it by yourself, but move him off the ball. Whoever's at guard, whoever this guy's in front of you, move him off the ball. You're not getting help. Or you're going to get this tackle. He might slam down and jam this guy one time for you, but he's climbing to the linebacker. You got to take this block on by yourself. With that, you typically do like bigger body guys, stronger hand guys too, because you don't have that luxury of with the zone concept. If I feel like I've already got, position over here, you're protecting this inside arm. So now I'm working, you're working, and we're good like that. Whereas man-to-man blocking, I got to make sure that I got him. If he goes back inside, that's on me. So just with that, they are very different in terms of the style of players that you want. For me, honestly, man, when I watch Najee looks like a back that I would want running in a man blocking scheme. I think that he is more of a one cut downhill, run behind his pads type of guy. I feel like he makes it easier on defenders if you're having him shoulders to the sideline and read in the end of the line of scrimmage, then read in the 3 technique, and then read in the A gap for where he wants to cut. I think that minimizes something that he does really well, which is just put his foot in the ground and say, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. And because he's able to do that consistently, that's what makes him elusive. That's what makes him be able to jump over guys. is set up off of the physicality. It's set up off of the threat of him running you over. But you lose that threat when he's going sideline to sideline in a zone concept, just reading the ends of a lot of scrimmage and stuff like that. So with that information and knowing that we want to play through Najee, I'm all for combo man blocking, but with that, you definitely need to get bigger, beefier linemen. I think that's why even a guy like John LeGlue, he came in and worked out, even Kevin Dotson, because they're thicker body guys, they're stronger guys. Whereas when we talk about Kendrick Green, we said he's built more like a zone blocking guy. But you see him struggle when it's time for one-on-one blocking. But he thrives when you're talking about him getting out on the perimeter or climbing up to the second level. We always see him running down the field because he's very athletic, but he's built more for zone blocking versus man blocking.
Yeah. What does this guy do?
In terms of
is it up to him?
I
Or is it more up to
personally think it's
Canada?
to Canada. I think it's more so on Canada to decide what style of offense he wants, and then it's on Pat to just educate the techniques. Because the techniques are different. You heard me breaking them down in terms of zone versus man, the pros and cons to that. When you're talking about hand placement, when you're talking about
I'm assuming Canada's the zone blocking scheme, right? More of that?
In a sense, yes, because it's a lot of the lateral, it's a lot of the jet sweep stuff. But at the same time, like, I just think of, if we're talking Canada as the college coordinator, it was definitely more zone. Whereas I felt last year we were getting a lot more man stuff.
Like
but
Ben
I think
under center
that's
type of
right,
stuff?
yeah. And seeing more of the downhill A gap, B gap runs from Najee versus him
And then we had
constantly
Kendrick
trying to
Green
go to
in
the
that,
side.
which was like,
And that's why he struggled there, right?
Gotcha.
Whereas when you're talking about, we don't see a ton of toss plays tonight. We don't see a ton of stretch plays.
on 4th and 1 we do.
Right. Or think about the stretch front, right? Where Ben is under center and he has to get there, get under center and then haul tail to hand that ball from that stretch play. That's another zone concept run. Typically, we don't run that with Ben because it takes a lot for him to be able to go from under center. We did it out of the pistol. That was their variation of it. They would back Ben up. He gets it. It's a lot easier of a mechanic, but it makes it easier as a defender to read it, though. And that's the thing also.
How about we just should have tailored everything towards Ben? How about we do that?
Saying that, man. I know. I know you were saying that, man.
This is just.
I know.
It sounds insane.
I know, man.
I guess with this O-line coach thing, the other question is, I saw your boy bring up this tweet.
Uh-oh.
Because if we're going to compare Semo to this guy that we just hired, wouldn't we lean Semo a little bit more?
Just absolutely. 100%.
We'd be a little bit more positive about that.
But that was my reasoning of the whole, when we were talking about Semo being the guy, and it was always in-house hire. We don't want to do that. No more promote from inside.
Were people saying that was a bad thing? The only way, in my opinion, it would have been a bad thing is if we passed up Munchak for him. But that was
like
it.
this. People wouldn't say if it was a bad thing or not, but what they were saying is that they just were tired of in-house hirings. Like, that's the consensus right now. They're just tired of it always being promotion from within, even though in a sense it hasn't been. Like, because Terrell Austin, people were pissed about him. That's a promotion from within. It's like, technically he wasn't.
He was already established somewhere else.
Right. We brought him into the organization and then he developed and then he went back to being a DC. But he hasn't been homegrown here. He's been
It's really
elsewhere.
only been Finkner and Butler.
Right. Those are like the main name guys like that, man. So, well, because you got Jerry O, the inside linebackers coach, and then Joey Porter as well to an extent. I don't know if you call that a promotion.
But Jerry O,
because
where's he gone? He's just been linebackers the whole
right.
time,
That's what I'm
right?
like. So yeah, we haven't really seen crazy promotion.
Matt
from
Canada.
within. Yeah.
I guess you could say that's more of outside. We brought him in QB's coach, but 1 year, all of a sudden, he's the offensive coordinator.
Right.
So I don't know. But anyway, Filippone, he said, he posted out a tweet, said people don't want to work with Canada. Maybe that's what ran Semo off. No, because I looked at it, I put it on my Big Deke News today. I'm like, dude, this doesn't mean anything. People didn't get along with Haley.
Yeah.
Like, this does not mean
It
anything.
does. It
If Canada's
does not.
good, he's good.
Absolutely.
That's all.
If a guy is good, you will respect him and you will play for him or play with him if they're to that level. If they're not,
Maybe people don't think Canada's good. Maybe that's it, though.
I mean, that could be the case. And if that's the case, that's different. But the whole Chris Morgan thing, I just looked at it as maybe he just felt more comfortable with the situation in Chicago. Maybe he was feeling like,
They got their young guy, Fields.
You know what I mean? Like, he just feels like,
Oh, maybe he has a connection to the new coach,
well,
too.
that's what I was going to say. Or even in the sense that maybe he's eyeing a head coach spot potentially. And he's saying to himself, well, hey, man, I know in Pittsburgh I'm not getting an opportunity as long as Coach Tomlin's here. Maybe if I go to Chicago, we've seen they don't have this, we're not going to fire our guy. They give him about a 2 to 3 year window and they pull in the trigger. So if you're Chris Morgan, maybe you're saying to yourself, I'll play that game as well. But just like I said, and this is all just spitballing. We don't know that for certain. No different than we don't know for certain that he had an issue with Matt Canada. But we're just saying, like, when we play this speculation game like this, it can go anywhere. That's basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Munchak didn't want to come here because of Canada.
Right.
Simo
like,
left
on,
because
man.
of Canada. Yeah, you could go back and forth for days. The gossip, the rumor mills,
No
and
question.
whatnot.
No question, man.
Something to think about, I guess, having Canada here.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be affecting coaches.
We'll put it like this. If it is affecting him, it could easily be because of the lack of experience. Because
Lack of
at least-
experience or different system.
right,
Who
because
knows?
think about when we talk about Pat. Pat, we said, man, he has an extensive resume at the NFL level. A mixed bag, but we can point to where he's had success and where he's failed. We can point to the fact that, hey, we at least feel comfortable that he is a competent NFL coach. With Matt Canada, the reason why we don't feel as confident is because we can't point to that just yet. He's only been coaching at the NFL level for, this will be his third season right now. One season as a QB coach, next season was offensive coordinator. So you could just see why it's a lot more skepticism around him, because it's like we can't point to where he's proven that he can at least have a Randy Fichtner year. Because Randy Fichtner, at least we could say, well, you know what? Ben still looked good. The offense still looked good. We were still being productive.
I think there's 2018 year. Ben led the league in
exactly what I'm
passing.
talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So when I think of that, I'm like, man, at least let me get Matt Canada to that level, because I know how we talked about Randy Fichtner. And I'm like, man, Matt Canada hasn't even scratched that surface just yet. But yet it just seems like they are super confident in him. It's crazy.
Yeah, this will be a big year.
Yeah.
Personnel
He's gonna get his chance,
decisions,
though, man.
coaching decisions.
Yeah.
Be a big indictment on that type of stuff.
No, absolutely, man.
For better or for worse. Because at this point, yeah, I really don't like how things played out last year with Canada as the OC. Probably won't forget that. But at the same time, all right, he's the OC right now. And if we're talking about him having more of a college system, lateral system, let's see what the Steelers do in terms of personnel. Try to tailor it to him a little bit. I know we brought the receiver coach that was connected with him.
Yeah, he bringing all the Carolina Panther coaches up here, man.
So we'll see. If he's successful, I mean,
Time
it's going to
out,
make
bro.
everyone eat our words.
Time out. How good was Carolina last year? We got two of their coaches right now. Just think about that. How good was Carolina last year, man? We done brought in a receivers coach. We done brought in the O-line coach. Who else we gonna bring in? We're gonna bring in a defensive
you know what
coach.
it is.
What's going on, man?
Because we had the receiver coach connection to Canada.
Uh-huh.
This guy, not as much. I saw that he was at Memphis the year after Tomlin.
Oh, Lord.
No.
He was at Memphis. Okay.
The year after Tomlin, so no direct connection.
Did he eat lunch at Maryland's D Hall?
But right.
Has he ever been on Maryland's campus?
What about just Carolina
You know?
to the Steelers, right?
Yeah,
Their
that's
owner.
another one, yeah.
That's got to be what it is.
That's it then, bro. That's it.
Familiarity in that
That's it.
part of it. So maybe these are borderline in-house hires.
Sheesh. The more we think about it, the more I don't like it. Jeez. man. But yeah, dude.
Just give him a chance. Whatever. I would have rather had Simo. Is it hindsight 2020? If we actually do hire Simo, maybe I'm a little bit more upset. I actually don't think so, because I have the same sentiments with Simo and this guy. Who else was better out there?
Right.
Who else? And Simo, at least last year, came in for Clem the last 2 weeks. Our offensive line looked a lot better than it did any other portion of the season.
But part of that also was
With Glue and JC, too.
Yeah, and that's the part that I'm always like, do we know if it was coach or was it personnel? We don't know, because we didn't get those switches, any other time. But this is gonna be interesting though to see. But like I said, man, I'm cool with it in the sense of, number one, he is a guy with a ton of experience, and I'm cool with experience. That just makes you feel better than going with a not so proven candidate.